Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes. This day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Well, hello everyone. I hope you're doing well. I'm actually sick again, but I wasn't going to let that stop me from, oh, my hair's all messy, from doing a show, because it just seems like this is just the sickness season for me, and I don't know why. My hair is all absolutely crazy. Let's do the YouTuber stuff. I do a little bit of introduction, and then we will get right into it. So I am trying to, oh, here we go, the new frames that I have. Subscribe. I love it when you subscribe, and I love the very special person who always turns in to my broadcast when it first starts and hits the down arrow. Your life just must be so wonderful. Bless your little heart. And I have some fans who do the up arrow at the same time, but you know, at least that's being a nice person. But I really feel bad for the person so bored to wait until I'm live. But you want to know what? All YouTube cares about is interactions. So do that little down arrow thing, because you want to know what I hear when you do it? Cha-ching. That's what I hear. Okay, you can subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. The channel is growing slowly but surely. Don't call me Shirley. And you can follow me on Twitter at Karen Ann Harlos. I should have made that X Twitter. I don't know why I did that. But anyway, Twitter, at Karen Ann Harlos. And last but certainly not least, I would appreciate your support on Patreon. That's one reason why I'm still, I really had to force myself to do the show this evening, because there are people who are counting on me to produce content. When other people are investing in me, I feel a big obligation to you. So thank you, all my patrons. And if any of you could consider becoming a patron, I'd really appreciate it. And what am I going to say? All super chats matter, because my shows generally, even if I hit monetization on, I usually don't get monetized, if you know what I'm saying. So I love it when I get the super chats and the super thanks. So what are we doing today? Before that, though, I usually start each show like with asking questions about liberty and stuff like that. I save those to the end now. Been taking feedback and comments to heart. So save those types of questions that aren't about the show for the end. I'll usually answer them. But right now, we're going to get into Matt Walsh, one of my favorite other fellow commentators to comment on it. And I am wearing plaid in honor of Matt Walsh's lumberjackosexuality, or is it lumbersexuality, whatever they call it. So yes, Wayne and I went and bought some plaid, and I'm like, I've got to wear plaid for my Matt Walsh show. So not too long, well, crap, it's been over a month, but right after the election, Matt did a show basically critiquing TikTokers, and I've got some TikTok things that I need to critique, but was talking about some very leftist people that were really, really upset that Trump won. Now, I'm not happy that Trump won. I'm not happy that anyone wins. I don't want any rulers at all. I'd be just as unhappy if Harris won. So it really doesn't matter to me. The comments I'm going to make could go either way. But it happens to be in this timeline. Unless there's a Mandela effect going on for other people where Harris won. But at least in this timeline, Trump won. So these are leftists asking each other, how can I possibly live with the fact that my mother, my sister, my son, my daughter, whatever it might be, happened to vote for Trump? Well, it wasn't happened. They chose to vote for Trump. And we have such diametrically opposite political views. Now, Matt's going to have a lot of comments on this, some of which I agree with and others that I don't. I ultimately agree with him. Unless you have other reasons, don't cut off your family because you don't agree with them politically. But I want to show some empathy and understanding to these leftists who are considering that option. Do I got like a weird ass pimple here? I don't know what's going on. Seeing something on camera. Just getting old, I guess. Because I kind of understand where they're coming from. I don't think it's the right thing to do, again, unless you have other problems with your family. So let me, I guess, start this out with saying, you don't choose your family. It's who you're born to. And there are times in life where it is healthy to choose a family, and it might not be the people you were born to. There are some really screwed up familial relationships out there that aren't healthy for either side. And I don't think you disconnect, if I'm using a Scientology word, I guess, over any little thing, or like Stefan Molyneux, used to do. No, it's got to be something, pretty serious, like your father was a PDF file or something and your mom looked the other way, like something really, really serious. But to say that just because you're genetically related to somebody that you have to have a relationship with them is also not exactly the case. I'll say this, some people might think it's terrible, but other people will relate. My sister lives in Florida. We aren't particularly close, but we love each other. My sister's a great, great human being. We're just so different. And she's my half sister. We have different fathers. she moved out when I was very young, so we never got the opportunity to get very close, but I love my sister, and I like my sister, which is even more important, because I think sometimes you can love a family member but not like them very much. Now, my brother was the opposite, and he's a half-brother as well. He passed away, I don't even know when it is now. Now, obviously, I was really sad, but I was never close with my brother. I didn't like him, and I'm not even sure I loved him. He was just not a good person in my life. He used to steal from my mother. He had a very bad drug problem, and our personalities were just so different. So that isn't the brother I would have chosen. And I have people, and have had people throughout my life male friends, that I've platonically loved like a brother. But it never was my flesh brother. Unlike my sister. And my half-brother and my half-sister were only a couple years apart, and they both have the same father. So my half-siblings have the same father, and we share a mother, and have different fathers. Now, as those of you know, if you've been watching me for a while, there's kind of like a hole in my life because I don't know who my father is. The man who raised me was not my father. He didn't know that because my mom tricked him, which wasn't very nice, which is why I did the 23andMe thing, because I am trying to figure out who my biological father is. I have found a first cousin and gotten a general idea, and actually there is a third cousin that lives in Colorado. And what's really interesting is that it gives me some clues into perhaps who my biological father was, because my mom was into the bad boys. And my half-sibling's father was part of a motorcycle gang, literally a gang, like not a good guy. But this relative that's in Colorado is part of a motorcycle club, not a gang. They're just enthusiasts. But that sort of thing I do think runs genetically. Okay, now with that long intro just about family, which I would love to hear your thoughts on, let's start with the clips from Matt Walsh. Hold on, I want to be able to mute myself really quickly as we're playing these clips. And I do have the other angles, which I'm going to get better at using, but look. Hi, how are you doing? This is, back there is the furnace, so... And I do have my little princess picture up there. I couldn't figure out how to zoom this so that you wouldn't see my big studio light up there. And then I think this one, it didn't work. It's supposed to be from another angle, but it's not working. Well, let's just go to Matt Walsh and we'll worry about... Let me see if I can... No, I can't change it from there. All right, let's go to the first Matt Walsh clip. Here we go.
So Joy Reid wants to know how someone is supposed to interact with a family member who voted differently. This is the kind of question you only ask if you have the maturity and intelligence of a brain-damaged lizard. But for normal people, it's not confusing or difficult.
Okay, and again, here's where I'm going to disagree with him a little bit. I mean, if that is the only thing, but we are such a polarized country that if you're really sold on the left, you're really sold out to it, I can understand how it would be really, really disturbing to you. And vice versa. If you were like a total Trumpster and then someone like, Pocahontas got elected. Now, I know she wasn't running, but you might be really, really disturbed because it shows such a fundamental difference in worldview. Families divide over religion, and you know my feelings about the state and politics. For a lot of people, it is their religion, complete with its symbols and its demigods and its worship rituals. So, what hot pink thing is a furnace? There's a comment I'm going to put up here because I do like interacting. No, I'm going to show you where the furnace is again. So, now that we've heard from Matt for the first clip. We're going to go to another one. No, behind, there's a door. If you look down at the bottom there, you see how it's just wood. Behind that poster, which was a gift to me, man, probably 4 years ago now, from members of the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin. Back behind that door is our furnace room. So sorry if that was confusing. Let's go to the next clip of Matt.
Your family is still your family. But that's not what this Yale psychiatrist says. According to her, your family is only your family if they agree with you politically. This is the kind of insight we can expect from Ivy League mental health experts. She is recommending isolation, alienation, and the severing of support systems. Okay, that's what a psychiatrist is recommending to people who are already obviously mentally unstable.
Is it severing of support systems, though? So like I said before, I have a sister who lives in Florida, but if I need support, she isn't the first person I turn to because we're just not that close. Though she could call me and tell me she's stranded in Antarctica, and I would do everything in my power I could to go get her. But that's not my support system. My support system is my system of friends. So I'd say here, it depends. You know, Matt is real fortunate that obviously he's very close with his family. I didn't grow up that way. I was painfully close with my mother, but no other extended family. And when my mother passed away, I got different family, different support systems. And if your worldview, again, is so different, I don't think that makes you mentally disturbed to feel some kind of way about your family members, particularly in this very, very polarized society. Now, again, I wouldn't recommend it. My grandmother got into some kind of fight with her sister, I think it was, some close relative, and they didn't talk for 30 years. And then this close relative passed away, and my grandmother regretted it for the rest of her life. So, you know, it's got to be something super serious, but sometimes there is a time and a place for disconnection.
A lot of people seem to have taken her advice, however. Here's a guy on TikTok giving his followers some self-care tips in the wake of the election results.
Well, good afternoon, you beautiful. Just a reminder that going no contact with somebody or people, family members, friends, because they voted for Trump and against your rights and your freedoms, in my opinion, is one of the ultimate forms of self-care. That's about it. Like, if someone wants you to have less rights and freedoms, then how the f*** is that? How is that person your family member or a friend? Why would you want to spend Thanksgiving with them? Why would you want to buy them gifts? Like, if they don't give a f*** about your rights and freedoms, then how the f*** do they give a f*** about you? That's it.
So some incredible wisdom. If they don't give an F about your rights and freedoms, then how the F do they give an F about you? I think he was quoting Aristotle there. Never mind the fact that none of these people can possibly explain which of their rights are threatened by Trump. What right specifically has Trump promised to end?
Now, that's a really good question because there's a lot of hysteria, a super lot of hysteria. No matter who won out of the duopoly, one side or the other is going to think their rights are being taken away. And very few people can articulate what they are. But I can, because I'm coming at it from a libertarian perspective where I would think my rights were in danger no matter what side. Now, I do think that TikTok guy was unhinged. But let's pretend we were dealing with a more normal person. And also, we have to assume on the other end that the type of Trump supporter they're talking about isn't just your typical voter that happens to be a fan, but they're not like walking around, like they don't have a poster of Trump on their wall, like he's Jesus Christ, or like that rally where it was the image of the crossing the Delaware and they had Trump as George Washington. Like, not talking about somebody who's like barking moonbat Trump supporter like that, but just like your average Republican who's just enthusiastic about a certain candidate. So let's try to put this in a little bit of a more normal perspective. People have different definitions of rights. Certainly different ones than libertarians have. So perhaps this person has experienced or has a lot of feelings, say, about guns. And he thinks it's a right to safety in some ways. And he thinks that gun owners pose a serious threat to his right to life. Well, I'd get upset about that, just like I'd get upset if Harris won, where I would think, even though I'm not a big gun nut, that my right to have one of my choosing, I should be able to have a tank if I want one, is under attack. Also, if you happen to think that abortion is a human right, and the fact that things are getting pushed to the states rather than pushing for some kind of national allowance of it, yes, you could think your rights, quote unquote, are in jeopardy. Or if you think you have a right to the labor of another person. I'm thinking, because I'm in Colorado, about the Masterpiece bakery issue. If you think it's a right that you should be able to walk into anyone's, place of business and demand that they perform a service for you against their conscience, if you think you have a right for that, then you would be threatened by Trump, because that's not something he supports. Meanwhile, I would feel a lot more threatened by Harris, because I think that forcing somebody into an associational arrangement, it's obviously against your freedom of association, but I think it's a form of slavery. So I can see where both sides are coming from, because no matter which of them got elected, I always feel like my rights are under attack. And I sometimes have to step back and think, I have this good friend that is a ex-supporter, no matter which side you're talking about. And what they are voting for is coercion. From a libertarian perspective, no matter what side won, what the people who supported that side did is vote to have violence committed against me. And that does anger me. But I have to step back and realize they don't see it that way. And it's much more productive to have a conversation about it. So for instance, the article's not out yet, so I don't want to, for some reason, maybe it doesn't ever get printed, editorial things. But I had an interview recently with someone who was very much on the left. And I'm sure I'll get called all kinds of names for that, daring to talk to somebody who was very much on the left, lived in New York City, very much on the left. I know how to talk to the left. I know how to talk to the right. And there are different talking points. And in talking with this individual who said, well, isn't government kind of us getting together and being charitable? I could get really mad about that if I wanted to. But instead, I stepped back and tried to see things from his perspective and then explain it in a way that would reach him, that would scratch him where he itches, rather than just getting angry. But Matt's not trying to understand at all how some people could feel threatened. I do think there is a whole ton of hysteria, like people saying that Trump's going to put gay people into camps and things. I mean, there's a bunch of hysteria, but if you, let's just say, I'll tell you a right that I think of mine that I think he's violating, and some libertarians will disagree with me, but I'm an open borders libertarian. I think that if I want to invite somebody onto my property, they shouldn't need a magical piece of paper from a monopolistic state, because that's what a state is by monopoly, by definition, is there a monopoly on the allegedly justified use of force. And when I say state, I don't mean like the state of Colorado. I mean the state, the government. I think that's a right that Trump will certainly curtail. And he's promised to deport millions of people. Well, what if one of those people was your girlfriend or your boyfriend? You would certainly think some rights of yours were getting violated. What if you're looking at the escalating tensions in the Middle East? Now, he may not send more money to Ukraine, but it certainly seems like the war drums are beating for the Middle East. It's yet to be seen whether girls will be drafted. But if I were the mother of a 17, 18-year-old young man right now, I might think rights are getting taken away, that they might be conscripted if we end up getting dragged into some big war. I think my rights to free and open trade are being violated by this whole tariff nonsense. So certainly, not to the exaggeration of this guy, I'm going to go no contact because Trump wants tariffs, because the people who are voting in that manner, they're not thinking of it that way. Now, if they do understand it, like there are some Christian nationalists, and I'm talking about real ones. I'm not talking about Christian people who just happen to be patriotic. When I say Christian nationalism, I mean the people who openly call themselves that and want our laws to be based upon the Bible. Like, I'm talking about the people who are much closer to Handmaid's Tale than to freedom. And there are people like that. Now, if someone like that knowingly voted for Trump because they believed it would be pushing society more in that direction, I don't believe that, but I do think there are people who believe that, and people who are very close to Trump who believe that. If I didn't have a good relationship with that family member already, I might avoid them. And when that guy's like, why would you want to eat Thanksgiving with him? I laughed because I don't want to eat Thanksgiving with anybody. I hate turkey and I can't stand that holiday. I don't like these manufactured holidays. To me, it's a day off to just go hiking or something. Anyway, let's go to the next clip.
Which, right. Now, they can't answer that. They can't even begin to answer it. That ultimately is why they want to cut off contact with their Trump-supporting family members. It's not that those family members are rude or abusive to them. It's that those family members may ask them to explain their political position, which is something they absolutely cannot do, and they know they can't do it.
Okay, that was just stupid. That was just literally stupid. And libertarians do this a lot. We tend to think that other people don't have good reasons for why they believe as they do. Now, we might not agree with the reasons, but to just say these people are acting unhinged because they know they could never explain themselves, then you just haven't listened to enough people on the left. I disagree with them, but there are some who are very articulate and can explain their position, even though I don't agree with it. To just go, well, they feel this way because they're big dummies and they can't explain why they think the way they think. How is that any different from when the leftists say that about people on the right? And you hear that all the time. That just Republicans are stupid and they're all bigots and they're all Nazis. How is this any different? It's not. It's not any different. See, I'm fortunate enough that, like, I can look both of you, you know, that meme where you have the two kids. Kids, you're both terrible. That's the way I feel. But this arrogant, you know, well, they're just doing this because they can't explain their views, so they're running away. Well, that might be true for some people. I think there's some people on the right that can't explain their views. But I don't think that's the case for most people. Just because someone disagrees doesn't mean that they're so stupid that they walk into walls face first. Okay, last clip.
Here's a Kamala voter attacking her own children for disagreeing with her dumb political views.
So here's a problem that I have dealing with my MAGA sons. They get very, very offended if I say that I think that they are ignorant to some things because of their support for this rapist and felon. But here's the thing. I have two choices when I try to understand why they would support an abhorrent human that goes against every value I try to instill in them. Here's my two choices. I can believe that you are ignorant, or I can believe that you are evil.
We're going to stop for a second here for copyright purposes and because it's a longer clip. He, of course, is picking, as I would, because this is entertainment. This is YouTube. This is entertainment. He's, of course, picking extreme examples off of TikTok, though it's not hard to find extreme examples on TikTok. It's funny. I don't get served that kind of content on TikTok. I watch TikTok more to see the independent, like, musical talent, the singers and the dancers, and I love the scare videos or the ones with the fake spider going across people's faces. That's the kind of stuff I get. I don't get any of this crazy stuff. I have to actually go actively searching for it. But even though this lady is extreme, I actually do empathize with the pain underneath. So you have a mother with two sons. She obviously feels very strongly in her progressive values. I'm not going to say liberal values because the word liberal has been completely hijacked. This country was founded on classical liberal principles. The word liberal in America does not mean the same thing it means elsewhere in the world. But anyway, so she feels that her progressive principles are moral. To her, that is the same as morality. Now, to me, the only moral part about libertarianism that's inherently moral is that you don't hurt other people and you don't take their stuff. But how you act out the rest of your life, you could be a perfectly non-aggressive bigot. You could still be a libertarian, but I'd think you're immoral. You could be a completely selfish SOB and still be perfectly libertarian, and I would think you're immoral. The type of libertarianism I espouse is much more humanitarian, but that's a moral judgment. To me, that's a feature, not a bug of libertarianism, in that we do not conflate morality with very much of our political philosophy. There's a wide breadth. There are plenty of libertarians I think are very, very moral, and plenty that I think are absolutely immoral. But to this lady, you could tell that her politics is also her morality. So now imagine a mother who raised two sons the best that she could, at least that's the way she feels, and they turn around and reject what she believes is the morality that she instilled in them. That's like a really religious family, let's just say a very devout Muslim family, and their child turns out to not believe in God at all. It feels like a very, very deep betrayal. Now, I obviously don't agree with her, but I am trying to see things from her point of view. So now let's continue with the clip.
Ignorant is the kinder choice.
So just to review, this horrific witch of a woman decided to make a TikTok video publicly accusing her own sons of either being ignorant or evil because they voted for someone she doesn't like. And what are they ignorant of? What information do you have, lady, about Trump that they don't have? Can you enlighten them? Can you share these salient details with them? I'm sure you've tried, but the problem is that you believe a bunch of nonsense that you heard from MSNBC. And your sons are too respectful to inform you that you are a pretentious dimwit with your head stuck up your ass. Unfortunately, you aren't my mom, so I can say that to you. They won't say it, I'm guessing, because they care about their family, which is more than I can say about you.
Back here, actually, you can say that about her. She believes, doesn't matter that she's wrong. She believes that Trump, as she said, is a grapist. Now, let's pretend that he really was. I don't believe that. Trump's got a lot of his faults. I don't believe that. But if you were a mother who really believed that, and your sons were supporting that person, wouldn't that be very, very hurtful to you? So I do understand her pain, even though I don't think it's well-founded. And I'm glad that she chose to believe, because she didn't choose disconnection. She just chose to believe that her sons were being ignorant. Because otherwise, since she does believe that Trump is this terrible, terrible person, she'd have to believe they were evil. And she said that were her two choices, and she chose the more charitable choice. And that's it for the Matt Walsh clips. I just wanted to interact in a way that just tried to humanize these persons. And you want to know what I forgot to do at the beginning is Sean Dempsey. He is an author out of New Hampshire. He's written several children's books. You can look him up on Amazon. It's S-E-A-N, Dempsey, D-E-M-P-S-E-Y. Ava in the Storm is a book he's been recently promoting that I had been promoting, but that would make a great Christmas gift if you have a young person in your life and you want to give them subtle libertarian message. You know, I don't believe in politicizing children, but if you want to teach them those kinds of principles, but in a very age-appropriate way, I'd highly recommend that. But for the adults in your life, if you're into investing, you have the Investors Warp Whistles. So Sean writes like a fiend. I'm sure he'll have a new book for me soon to promote. And he's been a longtime sponsor of this show. We've disagreed on things. He's like one of those people, like I am hoping we will be, where you can disagree, but still remain friends and try to understand things from other people's points of view. So just check that out. So now we're at the end. So if all you wanted to hear was the Matt Walsh stuff, I wish you an awesome night. But if anyone has any questions that are off topic, even a little bit, or on topic, I'll hang out a few minutes and see if there are any. And then my sick booty is going to bed. I think all it is a cold. I thought I was getting the flu. You can hear a little froggy or a bit. The water is turning the frogs gay. Sorry. I just couldn't help myself. So I want to get a good amount of sleep tonight. So let me just give it one moment and let's see. Lewis, if you had or Louis, not sure how that's pronounced. I'm looking at my chat over here. If you have a question, I would love to hear it. While we're doing this, I'm going to see if I can do that other angle that I was trying to do. Is it this one? Yes, this is the other angle. So now you see the other side of my studio with my rooster and behind here. So like I am the typical libertarian in the basement, but it's not my mom's basement. It's my own house. Right behind these curtains is a window well for the basement, but you can see a little bit more of my setup here. I don't know why this wouldn't work before, but let's go back to front and center. It doesn't look like there's any comments, so I thank you all for being here. I doubt there will be a show tomorrow. With my schedule lately, I can't do the daily ones. Can't do the daily ones. And thank you, Midwest. Let me put this up here. Yeah, he said, "We love you. Thank you. Love you back. All the haters are just bored and have nothing better to do." I tend to agree. My life is so busy that no matter what I'm doing, like if I get a bored moment, I might think about somebody and get a little mad. But most of the time, I'm just like, life is precious. Life is precious, and you shouldn't be wasting it, you know, the way some people do. And he, Midwest, also asked, what's his name? His name is Bunchy. And Bunchy, let me see if I can find on my little sound deck here. Bunchy does make a noise. That's very, very, very uplifting. I have a Christmas Bunchy I need to put up there now that we're getting into that season. Okay, everyone, I hope we're not getting into it. We've been into it. I hope you have an awesome night or day or whatever it is in your part of the world. And I will see you soon. There's going to be a patron-only part of the book review of The Morality of Capitalism going up in probably tonight, hopefully tonight. I think I'm going to go upstairs and record that. All right, bye-bye.
You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business, not because they want